Hello all, if you're new here, my name is Maddie and I'm here to bring you healthy vegan recipes. And today we are making pies. That's right, not just one pie, but two different pies. Last week I asked you guys in a poll on YouTube which of these two classic pies you would prefer to see, and the poll was so close. It was 51 to 49, with Pecan pulling out by just 1%. So I thought since the poll was so close, why not just make both pies? Actually, let me know in a comment down below which one you voted for. Are you team pecan or team pumpkin? And how do you say pecan? Do you say it pecan or pecan? I never know which one to say. I usually say pecan. It is a really tough choice. It always depends on what kind of mood I'm in, whether I choose pumpkin or pecan. And luckily today, we don't have to choose. We're gonna make both. So instead of making two full pies today, I'm going to make two smaller ones. And that way Q and I don't have pie for the next 2 weeks. And speaking of Q, he is going to help me taste test out of these two which one is better. And so with that, let's get started. So first up, we're going to make the crust. And this is actually very exciting because I have not made a lot of pie in my life, but I do know that usually pies, you need a lot of butter, or in our case, it would be vegan butter. But I have actually found a recipe that does not use any butter or any oil at all, and I am very curious to see how this pie crust turns out. So the pie crust I'm using is from myquietkitchen.com, and as I mentioned, it is oil-free, and not only that, it is gluten-free as well. And the reason I chose this pie crust is because honestly, the pictures make it look amazing. I mean, just look at this delicious looking crust. So we are going to use the same pie crust on both of the pies. I'm just making the original pie crust slightly larger so that it fits into my two mini pie pans, and then we'll have two mini pies instead of one big one. The base of this recipe is actually almond flour. And to that we will add rice flour, tapioca starch, granulated sugar, and a pinch of salt. Now, since I altered the recipe quantity to fit my two mini pie pans, I'm going to suggest that you get the quantities for each ingredient from the original recipe, which is at myquietkitchen.com. And of course, I've linked it in the description box down below. And now I'm just slowly incorporating some cold water. Now, since I had some leftover dough, I decided to roll it out and cut it into little star shapes. I was gonna bake these into cookies, but I decided to actually use them for the topping of the pumpkin pie. So now we're going to work on the filling for the pecan pie. This recipe is also from myquietkitchen.com and will also be linked in the description box down below. And the first step we need to do is to toast the pecans. And now, same with the pie crust recipe, I did alter the quantity of these ingredients slightly to fit my smaller pie crust. So for full quantities and measurements, do check the original recipe. So the next step is to mix up the oatmeal and cook it for 10 minutes on the stovetop. And we're actually going to do a blind bake first on this pie crust, which is kind of like a pre-baking, if you will. We're going to put it in the oven first for 10 minutes before we add any of the filling. And now we will just need some plant milk, maple syrup, almond butter, vanilla, arrowroot starch, or you can also sub with cornstarch, pinch of cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. And now we load our pecans into the pie crust. And then our filling base into the crust. And then into the oven at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. Now this pumpkin pie is from Drina Burton's website. She also has an amazing website with lots of delicious recipes on there. And the base is actually going to be cashews, so we are just soaking them in hot water for about 10 minutes while we assemble the other ingredients, such as our pumpkin puree, plant milk, pinch of salt, pumpkin pie spice or cinnamon, lemon juice, vanilla, arrowroot starch, and maple syrup. I had to blend my pumpkin mixture and my cashew mixture separately because I wasn't sure if they would all fit in one blender, so that's why you can see the two separate batches here. And I felt that the crust on the pecan pie was getting a little bit too brown, so I just covered it loosely with a sheet of aluminum foil and then added the second pie crust to blind bake. And now mixing the pumpkin filling together until it's nice and smooth. And adding it into our pre-baked pie crust. I did forget to blind bake my stars, so they didn't get as nice and brown as the rest of the crust, but they turned out okay. And then the pumpkin pie also bakes at 350 degrees for about 35 minutes. The pies are finally finished and we have a special guest here to help me taste test them. Hello.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know, this is my husband Q. He is also vegan and also someone who likes pie.
Love pies.
Do you?
Yeah, not all pies though.
Between these two pies, which do you prefer?
Pecan.
Okay.
For sure.
Really?
Pecan's one of my favorites.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Oh, interesting.
Granted, I've only had a handful of pies in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's only a handful, but pecan's up there for sure.
Both of the crusts are oil-free and also vegan, of course, but also gluten-free, which is kind of unusual for a pie crust, so.
I wouldn't know.
Okay. Which one do you want to try first?
Let's go pumpkin.
Okay.
My first taste, it was like, meh. But then as I kept on going, I was like, oh, that's not bad.
The filling is very fluffy.
It's kind of like a pumpkin mousse almost.
Yeah, the crust. What do you think about the crust so far?
I don't think I'd be able to tell that it's no oil or stuff.
Oh, okay. Do you taste like a regular pie crust?
Kinda.
I take it you're not a big fan of crust in general on a pie.
It's not my main focus.
Some people really like the crust.
I understand, I get it.
Okay.
But I just need it to hold all the good stuff together. That's all I need. This is good.
It is good.
Yeah, I like this.
I like the filling. I'm like medium on the crust.
Okay.
Let's try this pecan.
Yeah, this smells really good. Looking at it though, it just seems really moist inside.
It does seem really moist inside. Oh no. Oh, that's a weird face.
Try it.
Okay, now I'm scared.
The taste is good. Flavor is good.
Okay.
I don't know, I think the texture is kind of off though. Like gummy.
You're right, the flavor is good.
Flavor's good.
The texture is a little bit not what you expect from a pecan pie. I do really like the flavor of this pecan.
Same.
But maybe refrigerating it overnight will also help really firm it up. If nothing else, I can always turn it into ice cream. Other people had success with that recipe, so it could just be me. Okay, so final verdict.
Out of the two, the pumpkin tastes better, but I do like the taste of the pecan pie though.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I agree with you. The pumpkin pie, I'm surprised.
Me too.
I thought it for sure was gonna be the pecan.
Me too.
Okay, so like Hugh said, and I agree, I do think that the texture and the flavor of the pumpkin pie was a little bit better than the pecan. Maybe if we could improve the texture a little bit on the pecan, it might bring it up in our ratings a little bit. But either way, we did enjoy both of these pies. And the crust is really good as well. If you're looking for an oil-free and gluten-free pie crust, you definitely want to check out the recipes. I will actually post all the recipes in the description box down below in case you want to make any of these. If you did enjoy this pie recipe video and the taste test with Q, don't forget to leave a like down below. And with that, let's do plants, and I will see you guys next time. And for those of you who don't know, he's also vegan and also a pie lover, I guess. Do you like pie?
Sure. I like pie. Pie's good.